Hello, my name is Carrie Brown and I am with the Central Mississippi Regional Library System. Today I'm going to be reading to you chapters 5 and 6 of Calendar Mysteries June Jam. Written by Ron Roy, illustrated by John Stephen Gurney, published by Random House, New York. Chapter 5, Grandma's Recipe. The kids stood back and admired their scarecrow. "It would sure scare me if I was eating your garden," Nate said. "Me too," Lucy said. "The one we made in California looked a lot friendlier than this one does." "I hope it keeps the mystery creature out of the garden," Bradley said. "When do we get ice cream?" Nate asked. "Later," Bradley said, "but I'm really thirsty. Let's go get a drink." The kids trooped into the kitchen. The room smelled like spaghetti sauce. A pot was simmering on the stove. Pal was asleep. Brian took a pitcher of lemonade from the fridge. Bradley found some cookies. They sat around the kitchen table for their snack. Pal woke up and waited for cookie crumbs to fall. "Maybe we can make Dad some cookies for Father's Day," Brian suggested as he munched. "He likes cookies." Bradley shook his head. "He likes his mom's strawberry jam better," he said. Bradley saw the recipe box on the counter. On top of the box was a recipe for Grandma Pinto's spaghetti sauce. He opened the box and flipped through the cards. "Here it is," he said. He showed the card to the other kids as he read the directions out loud. Strawberry jam. Wash a half pound of berries. Mash berries. Add 1 cup white sugar and 1 tablespoon lemon juice. Stir over low heat until sugar dissolves. Increase heat for 10 minutes. Let cool before eating. Store in refrigerator. "Uh-oh," Brian said. "We've got a problem." "What problem?" Nate asked. "We can't use the stove," Brian said. "Why not?" Lucy asked. "We're not allowed to cook without a grown-up," Bradley said. "So what are we going to do?" asked Nate. "The recipe says to cook for 10 minutes. Bradley read the recipe again. "I say we leave that part out," he said. "We do everything else, but no cooking." "That should be okay," Lucy said. "It's not like strawberries have to be cooked, right?" Bradley slipped the card back into the box. "We probably won't be able to make it anyway," he said glumly. "Even if we do catch the mystery creature, we'll never get enough strawberries." "We could always give Dad an empty jar," Brian said. "We could put a note inside that says, 'We really wanted to make you some jam, but something ate all the berries.'" Bradley tossed a cookie crumb at his brother. "Brilliant, Brian," he said. "Then when it's our birthday, Dad will give us an empty box with a note inside." They all laughed. Just then, Josh, Dink, and Ruth Rose burst into the kitchen. They were dusty and sweaty from head to toe. "I hope you left us some lemonade and cookies," Josh said. "There's plenty left," Bradley said. The younger kids gave up their seats and walked outside. "Look how the breeze makes the scarecrow seem like it's alive," Lucy said. They walked over to the garden. Bradley went inside the fence. He bent down near the strawberry patch, then he screamed, "Ah!" Chapter 6, Bradley's Monster Trap. "What's wrong?" Brian, Nate, and Lucy shouted. They all ran into the garden. "Look!" Bradley said. He held up a strawberry. Something had taken a chunk out of it. "I know this one was perfect when we went in the house. I picked all the ones that had been bitten." "I guess the mystery creature was snacking on this while we were snacking on cookies," Brian said. "Mr. Scarecrow isn't scary enough," Lucy said. "What do we do now?" Nate asked. "We get smart," Bradley said. He ran into the house and came back with the J encyclopedia book. He turned to the jungle section and flipped pages. What are you doing, bro?" Brian asked. "We need to set a trap," Bradley said. He showed them a picture of some people digging a hole in the ground. Another picture showed them covering the hole with branches and big leaves. A third picture showed a large animal falling into the hole while the people hid and watched. The last picture showed the people cooking the animal over a fire. "We're going to catch a water buffalo and eat him?" Nate asked. "No, silly, we'll dig a smaller hole," Bradley said. "When we catch the creature, we'll take him out to the woods and let him go." Lucy looked at the fence around the garden. I still don't know how it got in here, she said. Maybe it's invisible, Nate whispered. He could be standing next to us right now, licking his lips. His fangs are long and shiny. His claws are sharp, and he's watching us. And you're watching too much TV, Lucy said. Bradley, we need a shovel. I'll get one, Brian said, and he ran toward the barn door. Nate, can you find some thin branches or weeds to cover the hole? Bradley asked. Back in a flash, Nate said as he took off. Where should we dig the trap? Brian asked when he returned with the shovel. Near the strawberries, Bradley says. I'll dig first. They all took turns digging in the soft garden soil. Soon the hole was round and deep. Nate brought back a bunch of thin branches and weed stalks. The kids placed them across the hole carefully. Then Bradley sprinkled some garden mulch over the branches. It looks just like the rest of the ground, Lucy said. I wonder what we'll catch, Nate said. Whatever is eating the strawberries will never know there's a deep hole under there, Bradley said. Mom and Dad won't know there's a hole either, Brian said. If they step in it, they won't be very happy. You're right, Bradley said. So we'll leave a note. Humans will know it's a trap, but the mystery creature can't read, the other kids yelled. They all did a quadruple high five in the garden. Bradley wrote a note and left it on a stick next to the trap. The note said, Danger, animal trap, do not walk here. He set a fat strawberry right in the middle of the trap. Let's wait in the barn, Brian said. The air in the barn was much cooler than outside in the sun. The floor was swept clean and the workbench was neat. Bradley set his encyclopedia on the bench. Polly the pony let out a loud whinny from her stall. She looks lonely, Lucy said. She ran over to pet the pony. And dirty, Nate said. Look at her coat. It gets real dusty in here when Josh and the guys were sweeping, Bradley said. The dust blew all over poor Polly. Let's wash her, Brian said. He went to the barn wall and turned on the spigot. Bradley picked up the hose and sprayed Polly's coat. There's some pony shampoo and brushes on the shelf, Brian told Nate and Lucy. Soon Polly's coat was covered with shampoo suds. The kids washed her whole body, even her tail and mane and hooves. Then Bradley rinsed her off. Let's take her out in the sun, he said. Bradley led Polly out of the barn. She shook her head, wetting them all with water flying off her mane. Brian brought a stack of old towels, and the kids wiped Polly until her coat gleamed. While Bradley was drying Polly's back legs, he glanced into the garden. He looked at his trap, but nothing seemed disturbed. Then he looked again. Oh, no, Bradley cried. What's wrong? Lucy asked. The mystery creature struck again, Bradley said. Thank you. Be sure to tune in next week for Chapters 7 and 8. Goodbye.